All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to Black Men Speak. I'm your co-host, the J.R. Stewart.
And I am the TD3. It is Wednesday night, November the 6th, 2024. And if it is Wednesday night,
It's certainly Black Men Speak. So let's give a shout out to Liquid for providing our theme music. And if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when new shows are uploaded, which is every Wednesday at 9 p.m. The show goes live at 8 p.m. Central Time. And then after the show is uploaded to about 4 or 5 different streaming platforms at 9 p.m. Hit the like button to help us with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're here watching the show live, invite a friend, family member, or coworker so you guys have something interesting to talk about. This is Black Men Speak, where we bring you leading information about the black community to social media. With that being said, Tom, let's do what we do best. I know we have some fascinating guests tonight, some interesting stories, and so let's do what we do best and share information.
all right, folks, I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. If you have not done so already, make sure that you subscribe and share this content with someone else after you've watched it so someone else other than yourself can be the most informed person in your circle. We typically, of course, have a news driven show, but tonight we are going to have a panel discussion, which, quite frankly, Jimmy, we haven't had in quite a while. So we're going to line up a few more content rich panel discussions before the end of the year. We're already into November, and tonight is no exception to that. So before we get started with our special guest and our topic, which for tonight will be the most important issues facing women today. The most important issues facing women today. We will have a couple of guests who are going to share their thoughts and their experiences with us. And we invite you to do the same. Either one, via chat, or two, probably via chat.
We're in chat for now,
Yeah,
so
it will be on chat
we're
tonight.
getting the phone line active, the stream back into the show. So there's some technical difficulties we're trying to overcome. But for now, please use the chat line to share your comments and thoughts, and we'll make sure that the information gets passed on to our guests so they can address it.
Good deal. And remember, at a quarter after the hour and a quarter until the next hour, we will have our music contest where we will have an a cappella version of a song that you will need to see if you can guess. And if you guess the artist or the official name of the song, you'll get a point for each. And at the end of the year, whoever has accumulated the most points will get a nice gift. Now, halfway through the hour, we will also have a movie contest, and whoever gets that right has the same opportunity. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the show. We had a couple of folks that we need to honor who we have lost over the last week or so, Jimmy. So, man, it's like been flies, been losing them left and right. With that being said, let's get started. Probably one of the most prolific music geniuses in really the last two, three generations, Jimmy. We have lost the Quincy Jones,
Hmm.
became an ancestor at the age of 91. This music savant and titan, whose accomplishments range from producing Michael Jackson's historic Thriller album to writing prize winning film and television scores, collaborating with Frank Sinatra back in his day, Ray Charles, and hundreds of other recording artists. He has become an ancestor. He transitioned this past Sunday night at his home in Los Angeles, surrounded by family and loved ones. Jones has received he would have received an honorary Academy Award later this month. Jones rose from running with gangs on the south side of Chicago to the very heights of show business, becoming one of the first African American executives to thrive in Hollywood, amassing an extraordinary musical catalog that includes some of the richest moments of American rhythm and song. At one time, it's probably unlikely that you could have found a music lover who did not have at least one record with his name credits on it, or a leader in the entertainment industry who did not have a connection to the man himself.
Right.
He kept he kept company with presidents, foreign leaders, movie stars, musicians, philanthropists, and business leaders. He toured with Count Basie and Lionel Hampton back in his younger days, arranging records for Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald, composed the soundtracks for Roots, the movie, and In the Heat of the Night, organized Bill Clinton's first inaugural celebration and oversaw the all-star recording of We Are the World back in 1985, the charity record for famine relief in Africa. Lionel Richie, who co-wrote We Are the World and was among the featured singers, considered Jones to be a master orchestrator. So we now honor and say goodbye to the great Quincy Jones, affectionately called Q. We want to, of course, give our condolences to his family, loved ones, and all of those in the music industry. He will be sorely missed, but his legacy will surely live on forever. Also, just found another one, probably someone that, unless you're a basketball fan, you may not know this face, but Amir Abdur Rahim, just 43 years of age, who was the head basketball coach at the University of South Florida, just passed.
Mm.
He led the Southern Florida Bulls to the AAC's regular season championship just a year ago. The school reported that he died from complications while he was undergoing a procedure at a Tampa area hospital. Abdul was a rising star in the coaching world. He went 19-65 in his first 3 seasons at Kennesaw State, but enjoyed great success over the next 2 seasons. In his 2022-2023 team at Kennesaw State went 26-9 and made the NCAA tournament, earning him the shot to coach at the University of South Florida. This year's USF team was actually picked 3rd in the AAC preseason poll. Abdul Rahim and his wife had 3 children. He had 12 brothers and sisters, and one of his brothers is now the G League president and was a former NBA player. For those of you who followed the NBA, his brother was Sharif Abdur Rahim. For those of you who follow,
Yeah, point guard with him, but he had Tourette syndrome, I believe.
Yeah,
yes, I remember him.
Exactly. So we definitely want to send our condolences out to his family and or his loved ones. And now we will get to our last person, and this was something, Jimmy, she has become an ancestor, but is known by being associated with one of the most popular artists of all time. Her name is Tyka Nelson, and she is the only full sibling of Prince. She became an ancestor on Monday, just a few days ago, at North Memorial Health in Robbinsdale, Minnesota. She was just 64 years old. The cause of death is not available at the time, but is expected to be known hopefully within a couple of days. Born to jazz musician John L. Nelson and Mattie Dale Shaw in 1960. 2 years after Prince was born, Nelson was a singer and songwriter, releasing 4 albums across her career, starting with the 1988's Royal Blue. That album produced her biggest hits, Mark Anthony's Tune, which spent 11 weeks on Billboard's Hot R&B Hip-Hop Song Charts, peaking at number 33, and Love, which spent 7 weeks on the chart and topped at number 52. So Prince is now gone, and now his sister has now become an ancestor. We definitely want to give our condolences to those in her family, her loved ones, and those in the music industry who will miss her presence and her artwork. So with that being said, Jimmy, those are those who we want to acknowledge and make sure that we can send our condolences. We do have, okay, we got Brother Frederick V. Roberts, Esquire, on the chat line. Want to acknowledge Brother Freddie out of Prairie View, Texas. And if those of you who are out there watching or listening, feel free to jump into the YouTube chat line so you can contribute to the conversation, ask questions, or provide your thoughts as we get into the show this evening. So since it is 8:10, Jimmy, what we'll do is start early with our music contest.
Okay.
We will introduce our guests, and that'll give us a little bit more time so we won't have to disrupt the flow of information. So for those of you who have not participated thus far, what Jimmy's going to do is he's going to select a cappella version of a song. When the song is up, you'll have 30 seconds, if you have not already done so, to identify the artist of record or the official name of the song, and whoever gets that will be given a point for each. Now, the other thing is you'll want to text your answer to the number in the lower left-hand corner, 346 646-6829. If you're looking at the show, you'll see it in the lower left-hand corner, or if you're listening, 346-666-6829. So go ahead and get your phones out and get ready as we start our music recognition contest. Jimmy, all right, I yield the floor.
You know me, child, together we can calm the stormy seas. We lie so strong that so unselfishly. And I tell you now, I done made my vow, I'm giving you the best that I've got. Hey, baby, yes, I tell you now, I done made my vow, I'm giving you the best that I've got. Honey.
All right, now we have 30 seconds to get our responses in. All right. All right, Jimmy, well, we've already got some responses in. No surprise, it looks like the winner is out of Austin, Texas.
Uncle Sar.
He got it again.
Uncle Sarge is on it.
And he got, of course, that is the great sultry Anita Baker, giving you the best that I got.
That's correct. Okay.
All right.
Uncle Sar.
All righty. And again, remember, at about 8:30 Central Time, we'll have our movie contest, and at about 8:45, given time constraints, we will have the last of our music contest. So let's go ahead and have our two guests. We'll bring our two guests to come in, introduce them right quick, and then we will go ahead and get started with the show. All right, ladies, welcome to Black Men Speak. We want to thank you both for joining us tonight. Both of them actually return guests that we've had on panel discussions before. We have Miss Condra Shorter out of course, the West Texas area, and Mr. Kwasi Knox. And Kwasi, where you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, correct?
I'm in Louisiana.
Oh, you're in Louisiana. All right, very good. Well, what we'll do is we'll have both of you ladies, you lovely ladies, to introduce yourself very briefly. Tell us a little bit about your background. And our topic for this evening is really going to be focused on the most important issues that are facing women today. And this is across all categories. But that's what we want to kind of start that conversation here. And I'm pretty sure this won't be the last conversation we've had. We've typically, I think the last time we had you all on was probably during Women's History Month. But we want to make sure that we give our sisters a voice, express their opinions, rally around that, because, of course, we at Black Men Speak appreciate and adore you. So we'll start with Mr. Kwasi Knox and then Ms. Condra Shorter. Tell us about yourself, ladies.
I'm Kwasi Knox. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana, born and raised. Of course, I'm a mom of one, of a daughter. I have a business. My business name is Self Love, Self Healed. I opened it as an advocate of suicide awareness and also domestic violence when it came to women. I've been a life coach registered life coach since 2017. And I think that it's a great, honestly, a career path to go in. And I also not even only a career path, but a life skill to be able to help the next person, to be able to be an advocate, to let them know that it's okay to be able to go through things and grow through things, because we all have. So that's a little about me.
Way to go.
All right, my name is Condra Shorter. I was born and raised in Lubbock, Texas. I recently moved back to Lubbock in the last year or so from the DFW area. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist by practice, a mental health clinician at the Texas Tech University Health Science Center. I think I agree with T as far as just being able to assist someone with their just life challenges and mental health. I'm passionate about that and being a resource and guiding those to their goals, whether it be just mental goal or professional goals or just personal goals as a whole. So.
All right. Thank you very much, ladies. So, we'll start off with what I hope will be some long balls, and then we'll get into some more interesting discussions. But we want to cover a lot of different things. And by the way, ladies and men out there who may be watching the show tonight, we'd love for you to participate in tonight's show. So if you can get into the chat line as we ask questions, we love your thoughts. If you have any questions of either our two panelists, and or you may want to input, your responses to some of those questions that we're posing. Would love to hear from you as well. So why don't we start off with this? In no particular order, what do you believe are the top 2 or 3 most important issues that are facing women today? And it doesn't have to be very complicated, but tell us about, from your perspective, your background, your context, the things that you're dealing with right now. And we're speaking for you specifically, but we're allowing you to be the representative of the body politic of women who are out there that you talk to, your generation, older generation, even younger generations, and we can narrow it down later on if we need to. We'll start with you, Mrs. Shorter.
Okay. I think the 2 major topics in regards to women and Black women in particular, I would say probably health disparities, as far as just how we are perceived in the healthcare field and the challenges that we face in regards to getting the services that are needed for our care and being trusted in the healthcare realm. And then the next one, I would say mental health, I think. And considering what we're currently experiencing with the results of the election and just in general, the pandemic, inflation and things to that extent, I don't think women realize how much stress and pressure they're experiencing because it's kind of became the norm. And so I think mental health and health disparities in the healthcare system, I think those are 2 major topics right now.
Okay.
And what about you, Ms. Knox?
Oh, I loved it. I definitely will agree exactly on what you said when it comes to mental health. I think mental health is one of the biggest things that's going on when it comes to us as women, because who hears us? Who actually listens, to when women say something, and also when it comes to being protected, who's there to protect us? It seems like the ones that are there to protect us may be the ones that's hurting us. So I definitely would say when it comes to mental health and when it comes to women, it would be mental health. And honestly, the household that we grow up in, and also the household that we're forming ourselves as women. I believe that it goes back a little deeper than where we at now of what is being created to be. I think when they made so many single women and they took the man out the house back in those days and those ages, I think it caused a lot on the mental health because it made women become stronger when women not supposed to have been that strong at all. So I would definitely say that with mental health. That's
Preach on, Kwasi, preach.
So let me ask you this, and I want to dig into this. So both of you, given your background and what you do, obviously, we would consider you to be more specialists, in that area, not in terms of being a doctor or a nurse, but in terms of mental health, emotional health, and those types of things. But let me go back to something that you said, Chandra, in terms of the quality of care in the United States. If you could kind of dig in a little bit more to that. I mean, I want to say that I have some thoughts on this, but I'd like to get your perspective on that, because the quality of health, physical health, your emotional health, and let's be very honest about the history of this country, the lack of support that women within our community receive do have a tangible outcome when it comes to not just you personally, your families, and those that you care for. But let me step back a little bit and ask you to dig into the quality of care and why that's important.
Yeah, I think that the healthcare disparities and mental health kind of go hand in hand in regards how women and Black women in particular are viewed. I think we have been perceived as these strong figures, strong figures in our communities and in our homes. And it's not that we aren't strong, but that's the being perceived as strong comes with some issues, and that is, well, you're not struggling in this certain area. You can come in and say, I'm experiencing some pain. Well, you got it, you're okay, you're a strong woman, you didn't been through worse, you'll be okay. But with it was our counterparts, a white woman or some to that extent, they would probably question more and understand that situation more and see how they can help us. Whereas a Black woman is told to kind of suck it up and keep going. And I think when you have that in the healthcare field, that's what leads us to having high maternal mortality rates, higher issues when it comes to just different diagnosis, cancer, heart disease, things to that extent. And I don't think it's anything that a Black woman or a woman themselves can do to change. It's for everybody else to take that lens off their eyes. So when I say lens, I think healthcare providers and those in power and those who are making those decisions, and they have a lens of that Black women are strong and that they don't show pain or that they're just whining or things to that extent. So until that lens is taken off and they're able to see clearly as what is in front of them, we're going to continue to be in this cycle and have these issues.
And what say you, Ms. Taquisa?
Well, I 100% agree. I definitely want to say that much. But I would definitely piggyback on what she said when it comes to mental health. And also being able to go in to realize what mental health is, you know, and getting into actually what the trauma is and what it causes and what it do to us as a person. And it don't matter if you're 17 or 70. If trauma is there, trauma has to be healed in a way, and can't nobody heal your trauma but you. So I would definitely say taking the strong title of what she said off of it and letting us just become women. I think when we are we looked at as and labeled as strong women when we honestly just want to be labeled as a woman.
Let me ask you this
Let me
though.
ask a question.
Go ahead, Jenny. Go ahead.
Let me just jump in. So, Ms. Quasi, based on the previous comments, in the life coaching industry field, do you see the same bias between with other life coaches as far as a bias that works against Black women?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
And let me ask you this because, and I know that as men, and Jimmy and I have had this conversation in the past before, I definitely understand in terms of how the strong Black woman trope has been layered on Black women in particular. I mean, if we go back to the origin of the father of gynecology, J. Marion Sims, who actually experimented on our ancestors, our mothers, our sheroes, without the use of painkillers, surgeries, all types of traumatic types of procedures on our women that were enslaved, who did not even own their own bodies, in order to establish the field of gynecology. And since then, women have had this moniker of being strong Black women. On the other side, you hear a lot of our women who wear this as a badge of honor, being a strong Black woman, being able to carry certain things, being able to, handle both sides of the responsibility in the household, etc. How do you deal with the fact that sometimes that can be a self-fulfilling prophecy if you continue to own that badge?
I almost want to say we don't have a choice but to own it. Although it comes with what it comes with, if you don't have the support, if you don't have the guidance that you should be getting, the only person you can trust and rely on is yourself. And if that means being strong or even portraying yourself to be strong in order to get what you want out of life and to receive what you should receive out of life, you have to own it to a certain extent. And we own it and knowing what can come with it. But I would rather portray myself as strong and take on that strong mentality than to be presented with something that I'm not able to tackle because I took the back seat. If that makes sense.
So how do you get out of it if you own it?
I don't know.
Well, let me ask this for both. So with Kwasi, I mean, is it possible to be strong character, strong will, to be a strong woman, and have a strong relationship? Does it have to be you have to choose between either a relationship or being a strong person? Can't you do both? I mean, why do we present this as it's like some kind of threat to masculinity that you have a relationship with a woman who has strong character and strong will and strong mind?
Well, I
Also,
would.
it has to be a threat, or we
Oh,
perceive
go
it.
ahead.
And I want to make sure I say this in the right context. I'm referring because really the beginning of this conversation would have to do, for instance, when you talk about the quality of health and how you're perceived and how you receive care.
Mm-hmm.
And you have other folks in other communities, usually in a lot of cases, not us, who are responsible for the care and support of our women, especially if you talk about inside of a hospital, a doctor's office, and they perceive you as this strong woman. So we're not always particularly talking about in the context of a relationship per se, but when you talk about support from a healthcare standpoint.
Okay.
To
Go ahead,
answer.
T. Go ahead. T.
Oh, okay. So just to answer the question that Jimmy asked, I would definitely say when it comes to can you be strong when it comes to all of those characters that you having to portray? Is that was the question? I would definitely say you need to identify what strong is to know if you want to wear that badge or not. That's just like the badge the police wore. That was the runaway slave badge. But if you don't identify to know exactly what it is, you would think and look at it as a badge to wear, right? When you identify those things and knowing, okay, yes, it's okay to be strong when you have to be.
Mhm.
But I don't think as women in this day and time, I don't think that you'll be able to be in a functional relationship, being the strong and the overhead. I don't think a functional relationship is there for to last. I think you could be in any relationship, but do I think it'll last? No, because I think as a woman and in the shoes that we wear,
Mhm.
that being strong, we're nurturers. We're strong when we push kids out.
Mhm.
We have times to be strong, but wearing it as a badge of honor to say that this is what I call myself, I don't think that it'll last.
Mhm.
No, I don't.
So you're saying that there are characteristics that women have where they can be strong, and that's okay. That's not like you said, we're nurturing, taking care, managing probably a family and a household, which is not easy work. I mean, it's very, very, very hard to keep that together, especially in today's age. And hopefully, you're not paired up. And it seems like society as a whole seems to have given the whole strength of character thing a bad sort of nomenclature when it comes to black women. So if a white woman is holding it down by herself with kids and maintaining, and she has traits of character, well, that seems to be fine. But if a black woman is doing the same thing, then she's bossy or she's this strong black woman that no one wants to deal with or can be around. So
Hmm.
it probably is not fair, but that somehow that seems to be the proliferation that those two have taken.
Mhm.
Right.
I wanted to add something too, just kind of piggybacking, is that, like she said, you have to know what it means to be strong and what comes with being strong. But people forget that in regards to a relationship, I'm married to a strong black man, but and he knows I'm a strong black woman. But there are times where being strong means, okay, stepping back. Being strong means let me let somebody else lead. I think being able to understand at what times it is for you to step up and at what times it is for you to kind of take the back seat, that's a form of strength. Because if
Hmm.
you are a strong person, you know how to navigate those different situations. Whereas if someone who's not a strong person, who is weak, they may find themselves needing to present themselves big in every setting, where every setting does not call for you to be big. Every setting does not call for you to be strong. So
That's
That's
right.
true. That's a good point. Thank you for making.
And Jimmy, it is 8:30 right now. So do you want to go ahead and start with the movie contest?
Okay, let's do that, and
Then we'll continue.
we continue.
All right. All right, folks. So for those of you out there, Jimmy's going to play a clip from a movie. Again, text the name of the movie. That's all you need to do. Text the name of the movie to 346-666-6829. Again,
We
346.
don't want the director. We don't want the actors. We don't want the screenwriters. Yeah, just the title of the movie. Here we go.
346-666-6829.
Father,
We're trying to get to know each other, Mr. Lowe.
I was trying to get to know you, Mr. Tolson.
Well, I'm not the one on the debate team.
Are we not engaged in a debate right now?
All right. I'll take the affirmative. Take the meanest, most restless nigger. Strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers, female niggers, and nigger infants. Tar and feather him. Tie each leg to a horse facing in opposite direction, set him on fire, and beat both horses until they tear him apart in front of the male, female, and nigger infants. Bullwhip and beat the remaining nigger males within an inch of their life. Do not kill them, but put the fear of God in them, for they can be useful for future breeding. Anybody know who Willie Lynch was? Anybody? Raise your hand. No one? He was a vicious slave owner in the West Indies. The slave masters in the colony of Virginia were having trouble controlling their slaves, so they sent for Mr. Lynch to teach them his methods. The word lynching came from his last name. His methods were very simple, but they were diabolical. Keep the slave physically strong, but psychologically weak and dependent on the slave master. Keep the body, take the mind.
All righty. We got 30 seconds to get responses for our movie contest. Guess who, of course, got there first? Uncle Hassan, the great debater.
All right, you may pull off a hat trick tonight. Get all 5 points.
Yep.
We'll see.
All right. All right. Let's go ahead and continue with our conversation as we were talking, and we will shift gears to another subject as we were talking about mental health and healthcare. Hopefully this is something that both of you guys can relate to. African American women, and Jimmy and I have discussed this on several occasions, African American women are now the fastest growing demographic of business owners in America today in terms of volume. What are your thoughts about the future of America and Black women as business owners? What do you see? Most of you have, I think, probably delved into being a business owner of yourself. What do you see in terms of the trajectory, the challenges, and the future?
I could start. I have my own private practice, so I have a little bit of experience with the business, not a great amount, but hopefully in the future will. I think one of the biggest issues I think is the funding. I think is access to financial resources in order for Black women and their companies to grow. I think we're limited in what we're provided. And because of that, we're basically having to build our companies on our own with limited resources. And I think that's one of the biggest struggles with being an entrepreneur and being a woman and being a Black woman that's an entrepreneur. And I'm hoping that as time goes on and as things start to change in political climate, that we'll be able to have some more reforms and things that are put in place that will allocate funds to minorities and minority women in hopes that it will help grow and make this an even bigger growth amongst Black women.
Anything that you would add to that, Taquisa?
I would definitely say what she said when it comes to limited funding. I had that as what I was going to say of the limited funding, also and the consistency, also of what we have to put in on top of living our daily lives and honestly being a person and not a robot. So I would definitely agree.
I wanted to add too. I think a thing in regards to women and Black women having companies and businesses. I think just we're not given as much grace, I think, as other people are given. We're easily criticized on our tactics and how we present, whether it's a product or a service. And I think until we are given grace and space to be human and to grow and be a business, we're going to continue to have issues as far as that consistency, as far as that support. Because if you go to Chick-fil-A, well, let me give you an example. Let me say this. On our local news channel, they review different restaurants, and they tell you where they failed in their health inspections and things to that extent. And so we see that, but we still go to these companies. We still go to these restaurants. We still go to these businesses, despite knowing that there are some times they have issues, even though they may be corrected. But if a Black owned company or Black owned restaurant happens to have something to that extent, then they are basically banned in the Black community, or they're talked about, and then that just interferes. So I think just allowing us to have some grace and understanding that running a business is hard. It comes with a lot of things, and yeah.
No, you bring up some very salient points there. I mean, I know that most small businesses are self-funded. They come from money out of your pocket, savings, money from family members. When you start out, most big massive business today. I mean, even the Microsofts and some of the great tech started in somebody's garage. But you do have to have resources. You do have to have support. So, I mean, you do have the Small Business Administration that do provide some support in terms of knowledge share, in terms of access to resources, but then also, to your point, in terms of support, when we look at the amount of money that are provided to other businesses of other communities, there are a vast amount of venture capital funds out there, but they're very narrow window for our businesses to get access to those funds, even though a lot of that money comes from our pension funds. When you look at where that money is doled out to, it's very, very narrow. And then I'm pretty sure both of you have probably heard about the Fearless Fund that was to focus a lot of money to steer that towards, of course, Black women and or women of color. Of course, that was sued, and they had to make some shifts in order to do that. So, I mean, there's no way of getting around the ability to need some money to start, but to really be able to scale, you do have to have broader resources. So what?
Well, the ability to go out and get it. So, not to cut you off, but let me give a quick plug to my niece slash adopted daughter here. She's been an entrepreneur for a very long time, since a young age. She feel like she was born with an old soul. Her and her sister Bray seem to have that old soul. But Miss Quasi, Miss Knox, and she's shown those skills at a young age, where she started as an entrepreneur, and so she's overcome a lot of things. I'm very proud of her for what she's done and how far she's come along. And I wish there were more young ladies that had that kind of spirit to just know that the path may not be easy, but it's one of those that you continue on it and stay with it, that eventually you can overcome the hurdles that prevent entrepreneurs from exceeding and being successful.
So what recommendations would you have, Jimmy, when it comes to someone like your niece, your daughter, who, they start in a small business arena, but they want to grow. They want to be able to scale to become mid-sized business and then hopefully long-term larger businesses, but the lack of access to funding is real.
There are two things, Tom, and we've talked about both of these. One, you have to really care about what you're doing. You have to be passionate about the product or the service that you offer. You have to believe in it. Because when people are giving you objections, they can sense your sincerity and you're trying to educate them as to why they need the product or the service that you're offering. Then the second thing is, Tom, and this is what kills a lot of our black business owners, is they have to know how to sell. Now, Tommy worked in technology. He has several, degrees. I ain't trying to give his background, but he's a master salesperson. Personally, I wish he would go into coaching on how to sell because he's great at selling. And this is a skill that a lot of our black, I talk to some black business people when I go out from time to time, and they have a great product or service. But then when I say, hey, give me your 30-second elevator pitch and convince me to buy your product, they don't know how to position themselves, the product or the service, to do that. They can, and if I give them one objection, they don't know how to overcome it. And to me, these are softball pitches that I'm offering you, but it points out a skill that our people desperately lack, which is the ability to sell. A lot of times we're passionate about what we're selling or offering, very passionate, but we just don't know the skills on the technical side of selling because we don't think, or we have bad connotation about used car salesmen or people who arm twitching into buying something, and so we decide we don't want to be that. But the reality is that you can't have a business unless you're bringing the revenue in.
True.
Somebody got to bring the money in, and if the business owner can't do it, you're going to be dependent on someone else to bring revenue into your business.
Gotcha. And so, it's not to take too much time from my guests, I do want to acknowledge a couple of other guests we have on the chat line.
What do we have, Tom?
My brother Ed Gray, the Commish radio show. I want to thank him for joining us on the chat line. Good to see you, brother. Excuse me, Dr. Ed Gray now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just had his orals today, and so it is now the Dr. Ed Gray, the Dr. Commish.
Congratulations.
And that literally just happened today. So congratulations on that. And then we have my cousin, Miss Elisa Patterson, the attorney counselor, and wanted to congratulate her for winning her first two cases. She's in Houston. And
Two cases now.
congratulate her for winning her first two cases. So I want to congratulate her as well. And good to see you. Getting back to our guest for today. What would you, and Jimmy, you brought up some very good points. What do you two recommend for anyone who is trying to go into business for themselves? And number two, what do you see as the biggest hurdle, or what is the opportunity? Maybe that's the better thing. What is the opportunity for our women when it comes to not just starting, but growing and scaling their businesses? Because I think there are some specific things that if we're going to own and control our destiny, there are some things we're gonna have to do a little bit differently.
I just wanted to add to that in regards to, I don't have a full-blown business. I'm still in the process of learning and things to that extent and growing myself. And this is just something personal, but that somebody maybe can relate.
But you do have a practice, right? That is yours.
I do.
So don't say what you don't have a full-blown.
It's big, very big.
You're right. And that speaks to what I'm gonna say. I think the first thing, it starts with, back to mental health, trusting and believing in yourself and your abilities to provide a great service. And once you can overcome that, then you are able to go as high as you want to go. And I think in the challenge with that is that when you continue to doubt yourself and don't believe in your abilities, you procrastinate on the necessary things to get you to where you want to go. And so I'm saying this to myself and maybe somebody else out there. I think trusting yourself and understanding that the world is yours and your abilities are not limited. And as long as you continue to keep your passion, continue to trust yourself, and making sure that you are changing the lives of those that you are encountering with whatever service that you provide, that you can grow and be as great as someone like Apple or Tesla, because they believed in themselves and they didn't stop. They didn't let the challenges get in their way. And then they were able to get other people to believe in them. And so,
what do you think of the opportunities, Takwasi?
Definitely, we have to be the first to believe in us. We have to see it before it's actually seen, honestly. We have to believe in something when it's unknown at that moment. Being able to have something that you believe in that you know that have worked for you. If it have worked for you, you know it can work for a million others. But first, it has to work for you. You can't sell nothing you haven't used before or that you haven't tried before. So I would definitely say believing in you and making sure that what you're putting out there is something on the other side that you're okay with getting back. And you're not just selling anything, you're not just telling anything. You're actually standing whole on what your brand is, and remember that you are your brand. Your
Right.
network determines your network. So we have to honestly know that as a whole when it comes to business.
All right, Jimmy, we are at a quarter until the hour. So do we want to do our second music
Our
content?
second song, and then we will spend the rest of the time with the ladies,
Yes.
closing out the show. Here we go. Same rules.
Much pressure fell on me. I thought I was gonna lose my mind. Lord, I know you wanna see if I will hold on through this trial. But I need you to lift this load, 'cause I can't take it no more. Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance. So I can dance. I just wanna praise you. I just wanna praise you. Yeah. Broke the chains, now I can't lift my hands. And I'm gonna praise you. I'm gonna praise you. I'm gonna.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Okay. All right, we're getting some responses in. All right, let me see here. Okay. It looks like we've got Miss Carol. All right, we got some competition here. It looks like Miss Carol has the first person to have identified the artist of record, which is Mary Mary. Is that correct, Jimmy Mary Mary?
Mary Mary.
Shackles is the name of the song, correct?
Correct.
All right, so she is the first to get both the artist of record and the official title of the song.
For a minute there, I thought Uncle Saul was going to run away with it.
Yeah. I think he was being cordial and giving somebody else a chance. All right. So we will go ahead and.
So the last segment that we have, ladies, why don't we open it up a little bit for outside of the kind of the categories and questions that we've asked, just your personal view and philosophy on some of the things that you see or think or just want to share in general to uplift another woman who may be struggling in life or maybe thinking about opening up a business or thinking about entering into a relationship and things to think about. I mean, just, financially, politically, take it wherever you want to.
Okay, well, I guess I'll go first. My business is based off self-love, self-heal. I feel like when we love ourselves, we heal ourselves in all ways. When it comes to relationship, I'm gonna take mine to relationship, Jimmy. I would definitely say when it comes to relationship, take the ownership out of when it comes to relationships because we don't own no one. I
Right.
think a lot of relationships will work as Black women because I can't speak for the other races because I'm a Black woman. But I would definitely say take the ownership out of it, feeling like you have to own a man.
What does that
Put
look
that
like?
love into yourself. Pour that love into yourself. The time that you're using to try to own that man or to hunt that man or to those things of that nature. Pour that time back into yourself. Pour that love back into yourself and watch how it works out for you. Self love would always be the best love. And when you choose you, the world has no other options but to choose you because you chose you first. You can't look to the world to choose you if you haven't chose you. You can't look for the world to love you if you haven't loved you. So we definitely have to take out time to love self, heal self, and know self so we could actually be ready and be prepared for relationships. We can't keep getting in relationships with different bodies but experiencing the same people because we haven't changed. with the same person from the last relationship, just getting in a relationship with another person. So we definitely have to take time out to look inside of us, to be able to know our flaws and to know our alls and to know the things that we need to work on.
So that's the same as if you love someone, set them free, and if they love you, they'll come back.
That's
Or-
right.
Okay.
Just so it's clear to folks out there, young people especially who might be listening, when you're talking about owning a man or owning, what how does that manifest itself?
Control.
Control. Okay.
What does that
Control.
look like? What does that look like?
Control is being in control of someone when you're not in control of anything. Trying to control, I would definitely say that. Let me clear that up. Trying to control someone when you can't control anyone. Your best thing of this life is just to control yourself and make sure that you are doing the things that you're supposed to do and not looking for the other person to behave in the way that you want them to behave.
But women often say they have to be controlling because they feel safer that way.
Right.
Putting my life and faith and trust in another person.
Mhm.
I trust me. I don't trust him.
Right.
So I need to make sure I can manipulate, control, do what I have to do to keep the ship going in the right direction.
Right. And it's like manipulation, honestly. When it comes to being trying to control someone, that's manipulation. You're not getting what that person actually is if you're trying to control it and tell that person what to be and how to be and how to think.
Okay, what say you, Ms. Kendra? Would you like to add to that, or would you like to redirect it to another
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
So what's kind of been on my heart, and me and my husband have been talking about this a lot lately, and it's not just for Black women, it's not just for women. I think as a whole, and more so to the younger generation, is to trust the process. That's what I'm hearing, as far as give it time, let things play out. Don't be so rushed or eager to succeed. I think social media has given a false reality to, more in particular, the younger generation. So as they say, social media plays highlight reels, as my husband loves to say. And when you see highlight reels consistently, you think that is reality, but it's not. Why would someone get on social media and show you all their challenges and struggles?
Right.
So if you just automatically assume that these people have always been on top, that they never struggled, they never went through a process, you're going to think that you yourself don't need to struggle or don't need to go through a process. And so I want to say that there's just give it time, go through the process, know that nobody just wakes up success unless you are the child of Beyonce or Jay-Z or somebody like that. Most people have to work for what they have. And if you are able to gain something from your hard work, then you'll appreciate it more. So just give yourself time, trust the process, and you'll get there eventually. So don't try to rush it.
Good advice. Good advice.
I'd like to maybe probe a little bit more. So for speaking to both of you, and I think those are both great points, for those who only know what they know because of what they may have learned in their households, being raised with their mother or their father or their families, and that's the only construct that they know to control. They don't know anything about process or trusting the process. The only thing that they feel that they can trust is something that they control or grab a hold to. How would you, what would you tell or what would you suggest or recommend to those women or men for that matter?
I think mentorship is a big thing. I've seen it to where, as far as people tend to think that their life is the only life and that everybody experience what they experience. And it's not until you get out of that system and you start interacting with other people and starting to align yourself with people who are where you want to be and start to build that mentorship that you will start to be exposed to things that can kind of change your perspective on. And it could be for the good or for the bad, but linking up with somebody that can lead you and can guide you in the best way, I think that would be very beneficial in just kind of broadening your view and your understanding of yourself in the world.
Anything that you would add?
Overall, I would say to the women to love themselves, And also to the men to love themselves. Don't let no ship come in your life and cause you to lose balance of you, to make sure that you putting you first so you can be a person for them. They're not your whole world, but they can be a very special part. So make sure that you are loving yourself, black man, and make sure black women you're loving yourself as well. So when y'all come together, y'all can share that love, except
What
coming to each other for love.
what would what might that look like? Because a man, you tell that to one, some of these the Gen Z that's like, all right, I got some Nikes. I'm gonna love myself into a couple of pair of Nikes. Or you got a couple of sisters who say, you know what, I'm gonna love myself with them red bottoms that I can't afford.
Yeah, don't break the bank because that's definitely I would say that will stroke the ego, but that's not gonna pour into the love that you need. So when it comes to let's say what loving yourself is making sure you putting you first.
What does that look
And
like? For instance, what might that look like?
for what, men or women?
Both.
To making sure that you're not letting a relationship or a person or whatever, a job or anything come before you. Make sure that you are first. Make sure that you are balanced. So when you go out here into this world, you're not giving them a mess. You're giving them a balanced scale that you actually are. You're not looking for somebody else to come in to heal the places they didn't even hurt. You loving you enough to allow that person to come in to share the love that they have with themselves, and you coming to share the love that you have with yourself. But you gotta have self-love first. Or
That's
you're
what
gonna be
most
pulling on each other for love.
compromise themselves. They give up things that are important to them.
Mm-hmm.
They sacrifice for someone else, and then when it doesn't work out, they feel bad that I gave up. I knew I should have been doing this or this or this, and I compromised those values trying to make peace with another person. So I understand what you're saying, Ms. Kwasi, that if you love yourself, then you won't do that. You will be able to stand your ground and say, hey, this is what I'm about. This is what it's going to take to be with me. This is how you're supposed to love me. And I'm not going to compromise or sacrifice not one iota, because to do that, you will be demonstrating less love for myself. So yeah,
That's
don't
right.
don't give away your own self-love for someone else.
Don't lose your identity trying
Correct.
to please the next person.
Yeah.
That's
Powerful,
that's
powerful, powerful.
And
All right,
can I add something real quick?
sure.
Sure.
Yeah. So in addition to that, and I guess again the question is, well, what does that look like? How do you develop self-love? Is it something you should have naturally? Is it something you learn? And I think aligning yourself again with mentorship, with somebody like T, a life coach or a therapist, that can help
like you
you
said.
guide you on that journey to self-love. And setting boundaries too is it's a key to self-love, and it's setting boundaries for yourself, knowing what you will allow and what you won't allow, in respecting other people's boundaries. And that goes along with that wanting to control or wanting to be the head of a situation. And if you are able to learn the boundaries of yourself, your partner, your family, your friends, and things to that extent, then you'll be able to navigate things a lot more smoothly, because you won't have to constantly worry about stepping on someone's toes or overstepping boundaries if you can already establish those.
That is so true. And remember, self-love is not selfish.
Right.
Powerful,
Good point.
powerful. Well, ladies, we are out of time. We want to thank you so much for joining us this evening. You guys have provided outstanding insight for our viewers this evening. Of course, we are going to have you guys back in the future, but we want to thank you for sharing your time with us and away from your family, and the self-love that you provide yourselves on a daily basis. So we want to thank all of our guests for listening in to us tonight. And next week, we will have another guest who will come share his insights on everything you ever wanted to know about Social Security and how it works, Jimmy. So that'll be next week. We'll have a return guest as well. So thank you again. We'll see you next week, because if it is Wednesday night,
Certainly, black men speak.
good evening, everyone.